y'all, how you perking? I hope you're perking good. So, highly requested video, this one. Y'all have been asking for a reading on Blake Lively and the Justin Baldoni situation, lawsuits, issues. During the live streams we've had, y'all been asking, and I was like, oh, okay, so does this sound like a mini reading? Y'all are like, no, sounds like a full reading. We need a full video on this. So here we are for a full video on this, and I have written down the things that y'all were sending me. I have it here on this napkin. So we're gonna dive into your napkin questions together. Basically people are wanting to know, who's in the right here. Can we know without all the distraction of the he said, she said, kind of what the bottom line is and where this is going? Because apparently it could be going to trial and all of that. So there are questions, and we're going to see if we can find answers here today for those questions. So I am a licensed mental health clinician as well as a spiritual intuitive, and in these videos we take a look at the tea with the tarot. Before you freak out and click away, know that I have a good track record here on the channel. So let's go ahead and dive into it. Let me go ahead, pull up the cards over here and move this microphone right here. This case, as I'm getting shuffled up here, I'll tell you what I know, and that way you can see how cold or lukewarm I am reading on this. So what I know is what y'all have told me, that they filmed a video together, this Justin guy that I had never heard of before, and Blake Lively, that they have filmed a video together, and that relationships went sour, that she is claiming things like, I don't know what words I'm allowed to say, sexual inappropriateness and things like that, and he is denying those claims. I am aware that they've had some heated lawsuits back and forth against each other, and that they are supposed to be considering trial, or that a trial date has been set or something like that. So these are the things that I'm aware of based on what y'all have told me, but I have tried not to go down any huge crazy rabbit holes or anything like that, because I like to know enough to do a basic reading on it, but not so much that it, taints whatever I might see in the cards or gets me, stuck in some kind of a way from some preconceived notions or things like that. So y'all know that I like to read lukewarm in that kind of way. I know enough here for this to not be considered cold, but certainly not enough for this to be considered hot. So we're going in lukewarm here. And I think I've gotten sufficiently shuffled up for us here so we can get started. This is all alleged, just my interpretation. Gotta say that for the YouTube overlords here. That's what they like to hear. So let's go ahead and get into this first question that y'all asked, and in case it becomes pertinent, which I don't know if it will, today is Tuesday, February 18th at the time of filming this, so never know if that ends up becoming important. But the first question y'all have here on my handy dandy napkin is, who is in the wrong? I have heard from y'all that at the beginning of all of this going down, it looked pretty good for Blake Lively and pretty bad for Justin Baldoni, and that since then the tables have kind of turned, and now things look not so great for Blake Lively and pretty good for Justin Baldoni. So people are like, okay, well then, which is it? Who's in the wrong? What are we looking at here? What's the truth of this? So let's see what we can find out here. I say whatever I see here, but also not going to try to squeeze anything out that I don't get out of the cards. We're only asking for what we're allowed to know here. Just like we did when we covered the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard stuff way back in the day. And by the way, all of those videos that I did on that stuff came true. So here we go again. Alright, Spirit Guide. So, yeah, what are we allowed to know about who is in the right versus in the wrong, or any kind of information on that? Oh, well, that is a very interesting first bit here. Okay. So, first of all, if they're going to throw us an internal Tower card into this mix, then I want a context card up on that. So, okay. So this is what I find interesting about who's in the right versus who's in the wrong. And I'm going to preface this by saying that, again, when I say what I see, sometimes it pisses people off because sometimes it doesn't align with what they're thinking or what they're feeling. That's fair. Everyone's allowed to have their own opinions. We're just going to be voicing them as respectfully as possible. So voice your opinions respectfully within yourself, in the comment section, to each other, for the reading, for me, for any of the other people involved in this, whether you agree or disagree with what I'm seeing here. I just think that it's interesting that as I'm asking for who is in the wrong here, I am not already in this seeing any, like, you know, kings or queens or any of those kind of obvious masculine, feminine type cards to come up representing one of them or the other. Instead, we're getting some kind of information or context around them. So it's interesting that right off the bat, neither of them are being painted as you are 100% in the wrong here on this. That, I guess, could also mean that it's possible neither of them are 100% in the right on this. So let's just see the nuance that we can get out of this. The first card, I think it's interesting. This is a balance card where they're kind of like, there's some stuff here. You know, I don't want to do the whole both sides thing, but that is what's coming up here. Again, we've got plenty more stuff we can read on, but that's the first card coming up here, is to kind of give this sense that there is some positive and negative coming from both sides of the aisle here on this, and that, you know, again, neither of them look like they're particularly perfect in this, and neither of them look like they're particularly horrendous in this from just the outset. How it's going, though, with the Fool card upright, then we get an internal Tower moment with an Ace of Wands as our context card on this. This is like going along carefree, and then something hits where it's like, boom, this is not carefree anymore. This is like internally mayday, mayday. And we get our Ace of Wands, which is my little phallic symbol card, kind of coming up on this, which is a perfect card to represent, you know, the sexual type of stuff. Things that, you know, people could think are inappropriate and stuff like that. So from the start here, this does, to me, again, I'm just saying what I'm seeing, it does to me seem like that it's suggesting that Blake Lively truly did feel like there were some uncomfortable things happening to her or inappropriate things happening to her, that she truly did feel uncomfortable at some sort of point in this. So there are people that maybe think, oh, she could be making something up and, you know, she never felt uncomfortable or this or that. I wouldn't say that I'm seeing that here. I do see genuinely like, oh, everything's fine. Shit, no, it's not. So I do see that she has has been honest about the fact that she has felt uncomfortable in that type of way as a result of things that have gone on here. Now, does that mean that he's a monster? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. So moving on down here though, when we get the Six of Swords upright, Ten of Swords in reverse, and Two of Swords upright, this is like a moving on to something better card, stumbling over yourself and screwing things up for yourself by way of your decisions. So, again, just saying what I'm seeing, don't shoot the messenger here. It looks like she really did feel uncomfortable about certain things in a sexual type of context or whatever, that she did feel some type of way, but it looks like it was things that she felt like she could move forward on, and then she started doing things that were getting in her own way because of her own decisions. So this is where it starts to paint some things that are a bit more critical of her. And that it's like you can genuinely feel those things, but if you then kind of were moving on from that, then it's kind of disingenuous to present that it's some big, huge problem that you're dwelling on, when it was really like, yeah, these instances felt and I wasn't keen on it, but for you to then kind of I hate to put it this way, but intentionally make decisions to present it a different way is where it gets tricky here. I'm really trying to watch my words here, but also to say what I'm seeing. So forgive me for having trouble with knowing how to do that in a way that makes the YouTube overlords happy. And in a way that is delicate to the situation, because I never want to call anybody a liar or anything like that over their claims, their suggestions, as someone who has been through very uncomfortable sexual type situations in my past before, that I've received therapy for. I don't ever want to discredit someone for what they claim. So I'm trying to be sensitive to that. At the same time, what I'm seeing is, yeah, she did feel some type of way, but it was, instead of it being like, oh my gosh, this has traumatized me and I'm going to be stuck on this and I need justice for this and, you know, something's got to be made right here and da-da-da-da. It seems more like, this person creeped me out, or this rubbed me the wrong way, or, but I can move on from that, but let me start, you know, presenting it in a certain way. And then now that I'm being disingenuous in that, it's starting to kind of come back and shoot me in the foot for it, you know? So it does seem a bit overinflated here from what I'm looking at. And again, I'm trying not to do any weird victim blaming type of things here and trying to be sensitive to, you know, these claims. This is just what I'm seeing. I'm just saying what I'm seeing. And who knows? I could be batshit crazy wrong, and my track record could be there out of pure chance. You know, I don't know. So let me keep pulling here, see what else we can get on this in terms of, again, this idea of who's in the right versus who's in the wrong and all of that kind of stuff. So let's see what else we get here. Okay. All right. So again, how they're putting this, they initially put a Queen of Wands upright, which to me shows initially we have Blake Lively in an upright position here, in that it's like, initially, you know, she was, I guess, how would you put this, in this for the right reasons, or, doing things that were, above grade or whatever. Here's the silver linings card about how things were going. But here again, this kind of pivotal moment where something switches. It was literally this same space in this pool, in this first pool. Remember, these cards were fine, and then the pivotal moment of the Tower card happening about this kind of essay type card. Same here. We've got things looking okay, and then a pivotal moment. It seems like there was a pivotal moment with them behind the scenes or on set or whatever, some sort of pivotal moment. And maybe this is written out in a complaint somewhere. Again, I haven't gone down all the rabbit holes to know what exists out there. I'm reading lukewarm, but you can tell me if this exists, that it looks like there's a pivotal moment where Blake Lively switched from this is cool and I'm in with this to like, now I don't like how this feels, and this weirds me out, and that creeped me out, or that rubbed me the wrong way, or that left that kind of in my mouth. A lot of women understand in the varying degrees of going through inappropriate stuff that there's stuff where it's like, was that a thing? And then there's stuff where it's like, that was a thing, but I don't know if it bothers me, but like, Then there's stuff where it's like, that was a thing, and then it kind of goes from worse from there, where you start to like really, really be psychologically and emotionally affected in some pretty daunting and challenging ways. This seems to be one of those like, I don't like that weirds me out, and now I'm thinking about that and feeling some type of way over that kind of thing, that there was something that happened, that a moment shifted, and it shifted how she felt and how she viewed this Justin guy. So I am seeing that come up again. But then here we go. Strength card upright, 3 of Pentacles in reverse, 5 of Pentacles upright. So again, take my strength and go to a crowd where we're all kind of, you've ever heard of like the peanut gallery, and we're all soundboarding together and being flying monkeys together, and we're just doing this thing together and talking something up and turning it into something bigger, and before you know it, we're icing people out and stuff like that. So this kind of sense of, and again, please forgive me for if I'm contorting any claims here, but this seems like, it went from this felt weird to now I want to, go in, swing the pendulum in an overcorrect motion, swing the pendulum very far in this direction. So instead of addressing a with a hey, I gotta address this with you, it's kind of like, let's swing the pendulum in a way far direction and start doing this soundboarding in the peanut gallery with whoever these people are. I don't know who these people are, 3 of Pentacles in reverse, and start to kind of come up with this sense of like, it's almost like as if she created a whole new reality or a whole new narrative of who he is and what was happening and what was going on. And then went with that new reality. And I'm so trying to be respectful as I'm saying all of this, but the way that looks, I mean, have y'all ever seen that happen in real life? I know I have. I'm sure some of y'all have. Where it's like you've seen or have even been in on someone feeling a certain way about something, and then the more they kind of voice it in an echo chamber with like-minded people, the more it becomes this thing. And it's like, whoa, y'all are giving meaning to this and giving meaning to that and giving meaning to this and extrapolating it to make it mean that, and then and before you know it, it's this big thing of what it means and what it represents, and how shitty this other person is because of that, and It looks like that's what happened here. It looks like that's what happened here, which in some ways, and I, can get that from this Ace of Cups here and from this Fool card here, that not trying to be offensive, but in some ways that is coming from a place of emotional immaturity. And I know that sounds like an unkind thing to say, but I'm just saying it as this is what's here, presenting it as is, that, that's kind of something that comes up. So just putting it there. So that's kind of how they're giving the context in this. I am going to pull these up and specifically ask about Justin Baldoni, though, because now that we were kind of looking at, well, who's in the wrong, and instead of saying, oh, she is or oh, he is, they paint this kind of contextual picture for what happened and, what's going on here. I kind of want to just see more about him. I feel like they've talked now for all this time about Blake Lively, but haven't really dived into him yet. So I'm gonna take a peek into that as I'm shuffling up here. By the way, if you would like to be a member of the Perk Squad, receive some various different perks for the channel, things like getting weekly forecasts, getting extended videos, having sometimes early access to video uploads, your own Penelope by your name, your own emojis, all these fun things, including video shout outs. So shout out to you, Tara Ann, and thank you for being a member of the Perk Squad. Shout out to you, Tara Ann. Happy that you're here. If you'd like all these kinds of perks, then you can click the join button down below or the link in the description box, and you can join the Perk Squad. We'll be happy to have you. Also, in the live streams that we do twice a month, we give away free memberships to the Perk Squad for a whole month. So 5 new people every single live stream win a 1 month free to the Perk Squad. So that's there as well for people who are like, I don't know if I want to commit to the Perk Squad, but maybe I'll try to win. You can try to win. That's there. So, but all that, join button down below or link in the description box. So let's look into Justin Baldoni here. Anything of relevance that we can know about him in this context that we've been seeing here, this background we've been getting here about what happened and, who may or may not be in the wrong and all that kind of stuff. Any context that we can know around Justin Baldoni as it relates to that, please. All right, one at a time. Okay. Woo, we got a twofer here, didn't we? All right. We'll take the twofer. Okay, so from this is interesting. This is like him just trying his best to be like, I just gotta put my hands up in the air and try to get away from this. I don't want anything to do with this. I'm just trying to, like, this gives this kind of white flag of surrender type of feel here. So it seems like there may have been some point during, I guess, whenever all of this was going down, which I have felt like people were saying was during a filming process for that movie that they did together, that there would be some point where he was like, okay, hold on, I can tell, or I am aware that the tides have changed, and I'm weighing up my little flag of surrender, and I'm just trying to push back from this, and, whatever I need to do, like, however I need to tiptoe around this for things to get better, then I will do that. So it almost feels like, for lack of a better way of putting this, and again, forgive me if this is unflattering language too, but almost like fawning, if you've ever heard of that. So like, if somebody is feeling inadequate or inferior or something, and then they're kind of like overly like, okay, yeah, whatever you want. Yeah, okay, hold on, let me just do like this. Oh, this is what I need to do to be a good guy. Okay, I'll do this thing to be the good guy. And like that kind of a feeling is what I see in him here coming up. So it seems like he may have been aware of that shift point where something started to change, and that's his kind of reaction to it or mindset about it or whatever that it's showing there. But then we've got Eight of Swords in reverse, Knight of Wands in reverse, then our Page of Wands upright, as the card that came on top of that here was our King of Pentacles in reverse. So this is interesting how this is coming up, because this is showing that with the Eight of Swords in reverse, that, again, being careful how I put this, upright, this is a victim card. In reverse, this is not a victim card. So it's showing like that he was at this point, you know, again, this was back during the, I guess, the filming or whatever, that at that point, he was not in a kind of victim whatever thing. He may have in his mind felt like, I don't have the upper hand, but that was not necessarily the case at the time. I do see, though, that this is the Knight of Wands in reverse. This is making some sort of knee-jerk reactions or decisions, or like saying or doing something without thinking it through properly or completely, and that because of those things, then we get the Messenger card with him coming up in reverse position, meaning he didn't help himself out by what he did and said. Like whatever it was he was doing and saying, he was making things worse or creating a bigger issue to have to get out of, or just in general not doing things that would help himself or help his cause some kind of way. So again, similar to how we were seeing that a little bit earlier for Blake Lively, that she started making decisions that would shoot herself in the foot. He kind of was making decisions earlier on that looks like it kind of would have complicated things for himself, made things worse for himself. So they both were getting in their own way, whether they intended to or not, and I imagine they did not intend to get in their own ways, but it does look like they both did. Still here, it's interesting that her cards were coming up with this flavor of, I did feel some type of way, but then I started to, you know, build it up into this thing with these people I was soundboarding with and created a whole new thing of what happened. Whereas this seems to be like, I didn't realize there was a problem until there was a problem. And when I did realize there was a problem, I freaked out and started fawning about it and doing things that were not in my favor and not in my best interests. So the energy of the two different draws here, again, doesn't look like either of them is terrible, awful, in the wrong as this stuff was happening, but that neither of them made effective decisions for themselves or for the outcome of this. And then now it's blown up into whatever it has become, which it did not need to do or could have been avoided from this. Whew. Goodness gracious. Okay. So, all right. Let me draw this stuff up and ask, like, if we were to kind of be critical of, okay, what did each of them quote unquote do wrong then, or what are each of them, which wrongs do each of them bring to the table? What are the things, what's the problem here in that then? Just get a little bit more information on that real quick. Yeah, let's see. And I'll just, Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni. So Blake Lively up here. Okay, Justin Baldoni down here. All right. So, interesting that as I'm asking about her, one of the things that had already come up about her is here. As I'm asking about him, one of the things that had already come up about him is here. So again, cannot make this shit up. It's just that thematically, when you ask about similar types of things, you're going to see things tie back into it because that's how it works. So I see this card tying back into him, this card tying back into her. So with her, it seems like they're saying that she likes to take a lot on, and that can be a good thing, but with all good things, there can be a point at which it no longer becomes a good thing, that you try to take it all on and carry it all. That can lead to either being burnt out by taking on too much, or by being overzealous because you want to have it all, or things like that. And then the issue of balance comes into play. It's like, okay, you're starting to swing things out of balance. You're starting to swing things out of what would be fair and just and balanced. It's also with the Justice card upright. I mean, this is a card about the legal system. So this card does sometimes come up for people who are prone to having a litigious type of personality. I don't know if she's ever been in any kind of lawsuits before, or if she's ever been, in any kind of issues where it's like, oh, protect yourself legally over this, say this thing legally over that, make these people sign these illegal things or whatever. I don't know if she's ever been in that kind of stuff before. I don't really know anything about her except for who she's married to, Ryan Reynolds. That's literally all I know about her. I've never even seen a single movie that she's been in. But this looks like that it's saying she's got the personality that she would be okay with, like, okay, well then let's fix this legally, let's take care of that legally, let's do this legally, or whatever, that she could be legal happy in that kind of way. And so then you get, again, this kind of talking it up, soundboarding with the peanut gallery, and that can be a recipe for disaster. So if there were any kind of like negative critiques over this type of thing, then, maybe trying to take it all on could mean that you like to have control over how things go. You want to take things on because you want to be the one to kind of have control over how it goes, or what things do. That could be an issue of control. Certainly anything here can be an issue with balance, fairness, and the potential to be litigious. And then certainly this here, again, kind of harkens back to what we were talking about earlier about some potential, emotional immaturity type of issues, where instead of kind of directly to the source, resolving what needs to be resolved face to face until it's resolved and then move on, it's like, instead I'd like to talk about it in my echo chamber behind, in a different way, and come up with this big new reality and act on that. That's maybe not the best way to move forward if we're trying to think about, maturely handling and settling disputes. Down here with Justin Baldoni, 3 of Wands upright, again our Knight of Wands in reverse, and our 9 of Swords in reverse. So this is kind of showing like, this is a sense of, oh, I just kind of think things are gonna happen, and like it's gonna happen for me. So that can come off as being either overly positive in a like naive way, or overly positive in a somewhat cocky way. So there's a little bit of like, I'm naive to think what could blow back on me, and I'm a bit cocky to think that I could, do this or that or the other, and take these things on, or manage this, or have a vision go my way, or something like that. So there's a little bit of that energy kind of coming into this space with him. But then again, this idea of like in this case here, it's kind of like knee-jerk reaction to things. So like, oh, suddenly somebody is maybe acting different or feeling different or something around me. Well, let me just do the knee-jerk reaction things because I can't deal with the discomfort or whatever. And that can be problematic, because if you do the fawning thing, then two things. One, that's not really being kind of assertive and trying to work things out either. And that means that you're kind of painting the picture that you're being really, really agreeable or whatever to whoever else is involved. That can look like, oh, I know I did something wrong, that's why I have to be agreeable. Or, oh, I feel guilty for something, that's why I have to be agreeable. Or, you know, it can give off that kind of a look. Or even it can give off the kind of look of, hey, I'm a doormat, walk all over me. You know, there's different types of things that can give off that he probably didn't intend to give off. And it's interesting how it's like, well, this is how he's acting when he feels like he's in his power, but the second you pop that bubble, boom, it turns into the, okay, let me do the fawning thing. And this is a card about paranoia and, you know, freaking out and all of that. So it's like he's coming up as naive and somewhat even cocky energy first, but then as soon as something feels a little bit like challenged or whatever, then it starts to be like, you know, kind of nervous and backing down in that fawning energy. And so it's kind of like, it kind of feels like he's a bit of a try-hard, maybe? Like, you know, trying hard to belong, trying hard to fit in, trying hard to look like the good guy. You know, and that can be come off a bit phony in its own right. I don't know necessarily that he means it like that, but it, you know, people tend to sniff out a try hard and smell it as weakness. And that seems to be kind of coming up here for him. Interesting. And with this first card, because of him being like that, and then this, it seems like, you know, in all the things that they've said earlier about how there was that shift point, and he's like, whoa, hold on, everything shifted. It's like, did you not read the room to see what happened to cause it to shift? Why does this feel like a complete surprise to you? You know, it seems like there was something more that he probably could have noticed if he could have read the room better. But it seems like maybe he was lacking that a little bit here too. So if we're going to be, you know, offering criticisms about who's in the wrong, these are the ways that each of them are kind of coming up, quote unquote, in the wrong in their own way. And you can decide which of these things is, you know, a worse offense or whatever. But all I'm noticing is like, it's wild to me to see that this is the crux of all of the issues here, the context behind all of it. And yet what I'm hearing now is that there are accusations against sexual stuff that is possible to go to trial. Like, when I hear that, but this is what I see contextually, I'm like, how did this shit turn into that? What the hell, people? This feels avoidable. It feels like this could have been avoided. So why, okay. I have so many questions, but I just feel like at this point, just what do we need to know about this? I have too many questions. At this point, just what do we need to know about this now? And as I'm getting shuffled up here, if you'd like to book a private reading, BeasTalksAndTarot.com. You can book a private reading. I've got 15, 30, and 45-minute private readings. Got Reiki Energy healing for cleansing and clearing and an energy tune-up. Got intuitive healing sessions for people who just feel like you want to de-stress. Get some help with letting some things go and moving forward and going into the directions that you would rather your life go into. I can help with that. Also, tarot tutoring for anybody who would like to learn to read the cards the way I read the cards. That's available as well. So BeasTalksAndTarot.com for all of that. So, all right. What else can we know about this? What else do we need to know about this? You know, any of that stuff here. Spirit guides, any of that stuff here. Okay. So, we've got wands, you know, and then 2 major arcana cards. So both of these major arcana cards are huge energies, and then the rest are wands cards. Wands are fire energy. It's all about the fire energy. So it looks like this has become a thing because of fire energy, because of knee-jerk reactions. And again, this S-actual stuff is tricky. If someone did feel some kind of way and then they start talking with people, and you know, to the point that people are really helping them build this entire big meaning and changing the whole thing, then you're starting to really buy into that new reality that is probably going to feel pretty big to you, pretty profound. But the Magician card in reverse freaks me out, because as y'all have seen from previous readings, when this card comes up in reverse, it's a manipulation card. It can come up for, you know, manipulation tactics, for, you know, God forbid, narcissists or stuff like that. People say that there's plenty of narcissists in Hollywood. So who knows? Any of these people could be prone to those types of tendencies, just by virtue of liking for all the attention and stuff to be on them, and everything to be about what they want and what, you know, they think, and that, you know, if any of them think that they're God's gift to the world. I don't know if they do or not. I don't know anything about Blake Lively or Justin Baldoni or, you know, all of this kind of stuff. But it's not a good card to see here. Then down here, 2 of Wands upright, Judgment card in reverse, and 4 of Wands in reverse. This is kind of like trying to set things up to where it's like either this way or this way. They're losing track of that middle road, that middle ground, because the judgment is off. They're not working out of proper judgment, and this is kind of like burn the house down. Just burn it all down, then just destroy it. So there's very much a my way or the highway thing going on here, and honestly, it's kind of going on in both camps a little bit. Like, it looks like to some degree there is some sort of self-importance and ego coming out of both sides here, out of her camp and his camp. There is some of that. Again, could piss people off that I'm saying that, because people may or may not believe that about whoever's side they're on. But I'm just seeing that does get in the way here. That's getting in the way of a quick resolve. That is what has caused this to become bigger than it probably could have been, and why it's causing it to have a bigger challenge in getting a resolve, because both of them are very much into, when I say self-important and ego, in this case, it's like, the way I feel about this and the way I think about this is the objective right way. And so what I want to happen from this has to be the way this ends, or else I won't accept anything else. That they're both being like that, so much so that it grew into what it is, and that it hasn't been able to end in any easier means yet, because they're both doing that. Right or wrong, they're both doing that from what this is showing. So, last thing to see here, I guess, is this idea of, like, you know, trial and all that kind of stuff. Somebody said that they might go to trial. Somebody said no, a trial date is already set. I don't know. I didn't look it up. I don't know if they might go to trial or if a trial date is set. But I'm going to look at this concept of trial here and just see what comes up around it. So, this is madness. Honestly, I have thoughts. Okay, fine. I'll just say my thoughts. Just because I'm thinking them, and again, this is not what this is me separate from the reading, but as someone who has worked in the mental health field for a very long time, if, like I said, all alleged, just my interpretation. If my interpretation has been accurate, like my other readings in the past usually are, then to me, it's shocking and disappointing for this to be where it has become, that it didn't need to be that. But I get it. Life stuff happens, and life is messy, and this stuff is not black and white, and, you know, any kind of talk of SA is a challenge and, you know, should be worked with and dealt with. So there's that. But okay, what do we need to know about this idea of trial and all of that kind of thing? Let's just get 3 cards on this. This is watching and waiting for a while. This is not getting what we want. This is walking away. So from this, it looks like this idea of kind of hoping to not go to trial, because this is like, I'm watching and I'm waiting. I haven't gotten what I want. I want to walk away though, but I'm watching and waiting for what I want. So this feels more like if we could just do if we could just, how I put it, it looks like even if there is a trial date, that there's this sense of not wanting to go to trial. And it's like, if you would just do the thing, if you would just give me what I want, we wouldn't have to go to trial. So I don't know if that means like, well, what does that mean? The whole like giving me what I want, and so we can avoid trial, getting out of the victim stance to be set free, again, out of this kind of immature stuck hold, make these decisions, give it to me the way that I want. Again, they're both being very unyielding about, this is the way that it should be fixed. It has to be fixed this way and nothing else will do, kind of thing. This feels like they're both holding on to their guns in that respect, but both of them don't want to go to court. And if they have a trial date set, it's like, well, but you're gonna go. So if you don't want to go, you have to do the things. Like, you have to, I mean, what, do you go to a mediator, or like you settle with payouts or something, or I don't know, you know, what exactly, but this is like, they're both saying like it has to exactly go this way. So, you know, they're kind of driving me up the wall here. Both of them. I'm actually kind of like, oh my Lord. Okay, what else about trial? Honestly, let's get a little bit more about trial. I get it. Y'all want it your way, and it has to be that way for each of you to feel satisfied. I get that. So, that being said, likelihood of going to trial. Let's put it that way. It really looks like they're going to try to avoid trial. It really looks like that. Is a trial date set? Can I just Google that right here? I just want to see. Is a trial date set for, what are their names again? Blake Lively case. New York federal judge Louis J. Lyman told both sides in an order on late Monday to prepare for a March 9th, 2026 trial. Okay. So, there is a trial set. A trial is set for March of next year, so in 1 year. And yet, from what I'm seeing here, none of these cards are like trial cards. Now, I don't know enough about the legal system to know, are you allowed to not have a trial if you have a trial date set? I don't know if that's allowed. I don't know if it's allowed to be like, never mind, cancel that trial date. I know it's set, but cancel it. We're not going to do it. I don't know if that's allowed, but this looks like they're really, really, really going to try to not do that. There's still a chance that it could happen. There's still a chance, that you can go to trial, but this looks like every attempt to try to avoid that. With the Empress card in reverse, this, if we're thinking that this is Blake Lively, which I don't know why the Empress card would be representing Justin Baldoni, this looks like her coming up in a reverse position here. This is a walking away and letting go of baggage, and this is a getting my ducks in a row kind of thing. This looks like that of the possibilities, going to trial, not going to trial, that there is a higher probability of her, Blake Lively, trying to figure out a way to not have to go to trial. Even if it means some form of letting things go or dropping some sort of baggage and getting your ducks in a row. I don't know exactly what she could or would do to get out of this, because again, I don't know if you're allowed to just get out of trial or what. But it looks here like there's going to be a good bit of effort made to try to avoid having to go. And it looks like she's going to have to get some ducks in a row and let go of some certain things. So the fact that they both really want to die on that hill kind of thing, it almost looks like she is probably going to have to cave a bit first before he would be caving a bit. From what this shows. For those of y'all who've been following this, how are you not exhausted? I'm exhausted just from what we've looked at here, for crying out loud. Oh my gosh. This is like a bunch of right fighting and this and that and the other. And again, I get it. When we're putting out stuff about, SA and this and that, you don't want to be, take that lightly, somebody saying that happened to them. And you also don't want to take that lightly, someone saying, hey, I've been accused of this and I don't feel like that is a proper title for me. Both of those things are serious. I get that. Yet somehow there is a sense of how the fuck did this happen? Because it just doesn't feel like here's this person who was doing nothing wrong. This horrible, heinous sexual act happened to them. They are forever, got PTSD from this horrible trauma they experienced. And, this unremorseful sack of shit needs to pay up for what he did. This doesn't have that flair at all. I do see that she was uncomfortable. I do see that he was unable to realize what he did or whatever, and didn't read the room properly because he's a try-hard and didn't, maybe isn't as he paints himself out to be. But then I see her going about dealing with this a not so great way, making things 10 times worse in a weird echo chamber, blowing things up into something that it, in my opinion, from looking at this, all alleged just by interpretation, didn't look like it actually was, but it became that in her mind to the point that is now what she feels and believes. And it's become this whole new animal that it didn't have to be. And here we are. This has been a wild ride. No wonder y'all said that this couldn't be done in a mini reading on the live streams. No wonder y'all said it needed its own video. I've been going for freaking almost an hour now. So I'm going to pull this to a close. If we end up needing to read on this more later, we can. I don't know what the hell else we would ask or what the hell else we would get from this. I guess maybe there's some particular questions people might have. I don't know. This was wild enough as is. Okay. So, anywho, it was good to take a break from some, more political or current events types of readings to do something more celebrity focused. So here we go. We did that. Again, BeasTalksAndTarot.com and Perk Squad if you're interested in any of those kinds of things. Got more readings coming up. So if this is of interest to you, then subscribe. All the YouTube stuffs, whatever it is. And yeah, here's a B-roll coming up. Let's do a B-roll. Puppy shenanigans to leave with some puppies and smiles and laughter and something a little less filled with, fuckery than this. So let's do that. All right. Anywho, don't be a stranger. Come back and see me, and I will talk at you later. Bye, y'all. He mixes it up. What are you protesting about, kid? Child. What is the protest about? I have a dirty lens, apparently. Let me see. Click, 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 click. There. Why the protest, son? My name is Teddy. I protest all the time. I say too much shit and puppy noises.